was holding a piece of paper in his hand, which said, "I am deaf and blind. If you can help me cross the street, please tap me." Seeing this, a young black man looked at the elderly man for a moment, then glanced around. Cautiously, he reached out and tapped the old man. The old man felt his presence, then took out a paper and pen, wrote a line saying, "I need to take bus number 15. The young man, seeing this, gestured for the elderly man to move toward the nearby traffic light. He intended to leave, but as he saw the cars coming and going on the road, he couldn't bring himself to just walk away. He gently placed the old man's hand on his shoulder and led him to the bus station. Just then, the young man received a text. A friend had offered him a place to stay for the night. It turned out that the young man was homeless. The elderly man then wrote another line, asking when the next bus would arrive. The young man checked the bus schedule and tried to inform the old man, but wasn't sure how to do it. The old man couldn't hear or see, he could only feel. So, the young man tapped the old man's palm 10 times, indicating that the next bus would come in 10 minutes. Sighing with relief, he was about to head to his friend's house, but as soon as he turned around, he saw the bus across the street, which had passed without waiting for the old man. If he left now, how would the old man, who couldn't see or hear, know when the bus would come? So, the young man took off his backpack, sat next to the elderly man again, and tapped him, signaling that he was still there. The elderly man also tapped the young man in return. This simple gesture brought two lonely souls together in the cold winter. The elderly man then wrote again, saying he wanted to buy a bottle of water. The young man, helpless, wrote in the elderly man's palm, "Can you wait a moment?" The old man immediately wrote, "I'm very thirsty." Feeling sorry for him, the young man led the old man to the store. Just as they reached the door, the elderly man tripped. The young man hurriedly apologized, ensuring that the old man held onto his arm to walk safely. Inside the store, the young man picked up a bottle of water and bought a chocolate bar for himself. The elderly man, without hesitation, took out his wallet and asked the young man to pay for it. After the cashier gave back the change, the young man put it into the old man's wallet, but as he handed it back, he hesitated, pulling out a bill and slipping it into his pocket. Feeling guilty under the cashier's gaze, the young man walked back with the old man. Just then, a bus number 15 drove past, meaning they would still have to wait. The young man felt overwhelmed but stayed by the old man's side, though the elderly man had no idea what was going on. After drinking the water, the elderly man wrote, "Wait for me. Please tell the driver to tap me when we reach 128th Street. The young man responded, "Okay." Suddenly, the elderly man held the young man's hand.
Young man.
Only then did the young man realize that the old man could speak. The elderly man then asked through the notebook for the young man's name. The young man wrote, "Trick." The old man wrote his name on the notebook and added, "Nice to meet you." Despite the challenges of communication, they managed to communicate in this simple, silent way, exchanging joy through their mutual understanding. When the elderly man put the notebook back in his bag, he surprisingly found another bottle of water inside. They both laughed heartily. As the night grew deeper, the elderly man rested his head on the young man's shoulder. However, the young man's friend, waiting too long for him, decided not to wait any longer. It seemed that the young man was going to spend the night on the street. Curiously, the young man pulled the notebook out of the old man's bag. It was filled with words asking for help from others, and one page even had a note that said, "Can I kiss you?" What would the world look like for someone who perceives it this way? The young man covered his ears with his hands and closed his eyes. Immediately, the world around him fell into darkness. When he opened his eyes again, he realized they had almost missed the last bus. He rushed to stop the driver and, after helping the old man onto the bus, reminded the driver several times to tap